in the quiet suburban community of Chuluota, where life moved slowly and predictably, the Amato family home stood as a symbol of stability, a place built on routine and structure, where expectations were clear and futures were planned. And at the center of this household was Grant Amato, a 29-year-old man whose life, at first glance, appeared ordinary. Yet beneath the surface, something far more dangerous was beginning to take shape. Something invisible, intangible, and increasingly uncontrollable. Because Grant was not driven by violence in the traditional sense, but by something far more modern: obsession and emotional dependency. In the digital age, connections can be formed without physical presence, and fantasies can be sustained without limitation. For Grant, this reality became his escape, his fixation, and eventually, his downfall, starting with seemingly harmless late-night browsing. It was in this world that Grant encountered a Bulgarian camgirl, a performer who existed behind a screen, thousands of miles away. She would come to occupy his thoughts, his time, and ultimately, his entire existence, requiring only money, attention, and belief. As weeks turned into months, Grant's involvement deepened, evolving from casual viewing into constant engagement and excessive financial commitment. Each interaction reinforced Grant's belief that the connection was real, meaningful, and worth preserving at any cost. This belief began to override logic, responsibility, and morality, as he prioritized the digital relationship over everything else in his life. The first cracks appeared when resources ran out, and Grant turned to the one place he could access them: his own family. What began as an escape transformed into a dangerous dependency, pulling him into deception and a path with no return. The line between reality and illusion had blurred, setting the stage for a tragedy that would shock the nation. As obsession intensified, the financial strain quickly escalated, turning into large, unexplained withdrawals and mounting suspicion. When confronted, the illusion began to unravel, exposing the depth of his psychological attachment to a transactional presence on a screen. His family imposed restrictions, cut off his internet access, and demanded accountability, believing discipline could restore balance. What they failed to grasp was that Grant's attachment was no longer optional. It was something that defined his entire identity. This created a clash between a family trying to save their son and a man determined to preserve a fantasy at any cost. Grant began to feel cornered and threatened. To him, the loss of the digital world felt like the loss of something vital. This perception fueled resentment and desperation, pushing him toward decisions that would have once seemed impossible. When obsession reaches a certain point, it does not negotiate, it does not compromise, it demands. The household became a silent battleground, where every attempt at intervention only intensified the internal conflict building within him, leading to a point where the consequences of his actions would extend far beyond financial loss into a realm of irreversible tragedy. On a cold January night in 2019, inside the Amato family home in Chuluota, the tension that had been building for months reached its breaking point. And what happened next would forever redefine the case as one of the most disturbing examples of obsession-driven violence in modern true crime history. Because in the silence of that home, where discipline and order had once prevailed, a decision was made, a line was crossed, and within hours, 3 lives would be lost, leaving behind a scene that investigators would later describe as both calculated and deeply unsettling. Because when authorities arrived, they found the bodies of Grant's parents and his brother, victims of a brutal act that transformed a home into a crime scene. As forensic teams began their work, the details that emerged painted a picture not of chaos, but of intent. The positioning of the bodies and the absence of forced entry all pointed to someone familiar, someone who belonged in that space, someone who knew the layout, the routines, and the vulnerabilities. As investigators pieced together the timeline, suspicion quickly turned toward Grant Amato. His behavior before and after the incident raised immediate red flags. In the aftermath, he did not exhibit panic, grief, or confusion. He appeared detached, composed, and focused, a demeanor that contrasted sharply with the gravity of the situation. As evidence was collected, including digital records and financial transactions, a narrative began to take shape, one that linked the murders not to uncontrollable rage, but to a calculated effort to remove obstacles between him and his obsession. With his family gone, the restrictions and financial limitations would disappear, allowing him to continue the relationship that dominated his life. This realization added a chilling layer. It suggested the murders were not just acts of violence, but acts of preservation of a fantasy. The evidence against Grant became impossible to ignore, from inconsistencies in his statements to digital footprints at the center of the timeline. The case forced everyone to confront a question: how can an illusion through a screen drive someone to destroy everything real in their life? The answer pointed toward a dangerous intersection of technology and psychology, where the lines between reality and fantasy become blurred. Part 4: Trial, Verdict, and Legacy. The story transformed from a shocking headline into a detailed examination of evidence and motive. Prosecutors connected every element: the theft, the obsession, the conflict, into a single argument. Grant was driven by desperation. The defense challenged the intent and mental state, but the weight of the prosecution's case, fueled by digital and financial records, was overwhelming. When the jury delivered its verdict, guilty, it marked the beginning of a conversation about the nature of obsession in modern society. This case was a cautionary tale, a reminder that while the internet connects the world, it can create illusions powerful enough to override reality. The lessons of this case remain relevant, emphasizing awareness and intervention in preventing similar tragedies. The most dangerous threats can emerge from within, shaped by the realities we choose to believe. Subscribe Criminal Verse, where every crime hides a story.